This Bleach yellow deck has a fun, unique effect that rests opponents and applies effect afterwards. However, is it too slow for its own good? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Mobby here, and today I have a full deck list that I'm using for this Bleach yellow deck that revolves around Bambietta and as Nodt. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Make sure to like and subscribe, it really helps out the channel. We upload daily duels and deck profiles for a lot of anime TCGs. Alright, so here we go. I made this one and I want to let you guys know exactly every single card in here, the game plan, and then at the very end I'll let you know the strengths and weaknesses of this particular deck. So let's get started. These are the action points that I'm using. We're going to go through every single card and talk about how they work in the deck. Let's zoom in a little bit more, huh? Alright, so the first one we have here is Asguario Ebern. I'm sorry if I, mispronounce any of these guys. I haven't watched Bleach at all. And I know this is like one of the continuations, the Bleach of the 1,000-Year Blood War, but I'm not sure about anything. But anyway, this is a, we're running 10 zero cost, 1 mana, 1 energy generators. And this guy is our tech 1 with 2 of them in here. And this is Step. Now, I found out this deck is control and very aggressive. The highest card in here is a 4 cost. So you're going to be using a lot of minions on the front line very early, and this one helps a lot, especially if you already have a lot of other good generators. You just throw him out there and he does his job and then moves back to the back line if you need him, or you can move him back up and forth. So that's why I really like Step. But anyway, he's nothing but a Step with 2,000 power, so running 2 of these. Next one is Nodt. I don't know. Sure. So basically, this guy is one of 2 of our raid targets in this deck. This is your standard 0 cost. But however, this one is not a get to your hand as the usual cards are. This one is active plus 3,000, which is kind of interesting. It also has 2,000 power. So running 4 as Notes. So once again, this is a raid target. Next up, we have our second raid target of the deck. This is Bambietta Basturbine. This one is the add card to your hand with 1,500 power. All right, so let's move on over to our 1 cost. So we're running around 6 2 energy generators in the deck, and the reason why it's pretty low, I usually like to run 9. It's because basically the highest cost in here is once again a 4. So if you don't end up getting these, it's not the end of the world. I'd rather put in more really, cards that help you use your abilities, tougher cards at the end. So that's why we're only running 6. But anyway, this is Mask Demasculine. When played, you have to bounce back another 1 or lower character. Otherwise, this goes back to your hand. Obviously, the other ones are, every single one of these. So these are your ones. And there's no specific one you want to bounce back because there's no like crazy on plays. But basically, yeah, that's it. Now for your other 2 energy generator cards, this is Nanana Najakup. So if this character is active, plus 2 energy generation, not much to say about that. If you end up getting these guys, you're most likely going to leave them in the back line for the whole game unless you're pushing and really defending, so that's it. Now, let's move on to another Bambietta Basturbine. This is a 2 cost, 1 action. When played, choose up to 1 opponent's character on their front line that has 3,500 less BP and switch it to resting. Now, the benefits of switching an enemy card to resting is they cannot block with it that turn, and that's pretty much it. With this deck, however, there are other abilities that activate when a character is actually rested, and we'll talk about that later. The trigger is draw a card. It's pretty good. Very weak BP. It's primarily used for its effect, and it's a raid target. Next up, it's Quilgay OP. Opie, I don't know. Alright, so 2 costs. Activate main. If on the front line, switch to resting. You're going to choose one of your opponent's front lines and switch it to resting. This is a very powerful ability because it allows you to put anyone into resting. Doesn't matter if it's rated, doesn't matter if they have 10,000 BP, they go to resting and allows you to use your other abilities that you've got later on. However, it takes up a spot on the front line because you have to have it there, so that means you're not swinging for 3,000 BP, but trust me, this is worth the effect if you're able to pull off the extra effects that come with it, and we'll talk about it later. So we're running 4 of these because you really want this on your front line. 1 or 2 would really annoy the opponents. Next off, we have the Jail. Now, I decided to run a couple of these, even though, anything that you use like this, I guess we'll talk about the effect first. So 2, the Jail. one character and switch it to resting. So it's exactly like this, except you don't get a body. However, this one does have a trigger. The bad thing about it is, I just mentioned, you don't get a body. So in Union Arena, you only get 3 actions for the most part, and every single one of them, you really want to get the most effect out of it, meaning you want, like, the best thing to get it is a huge gigantic removal on its own, or it's an effect plus a body. This is an effect plus a body. This is just an effect. You play this, but if you don't have any other cards to combo with it, it's a wasted card. So however, this deck really thrives on actually having things rested, and the thing with this card is you get a body and the ability, but you have to wait next turn to activate it because you have to switch it to resting. This one allows you to use it right away, so this is for one of those clutch moments where you have everything in your hand but you have no way of resting it. This is your clutch rest. These ones and the Bambietta, it's like a little bit of setup beforehand, right? So this is your, like, okay, I'm gonna save these for specific times that we need to use them. All right, next up is As Nodt. This is a 3 cost. This character gains 1000 BP for each resting character on your opponent's front line. Now, this doesn't say on your turn or the opponent's turn, meaning it's both. So if your opponent attacks and this guy's still active, he's gonna go to 3000. If your opponent attacks again, they have 2 characters rested, meaning you go to 4000, etc. So that's why it's really cool. Also, you can, vice versa. If you attack with the weak 500, 1500 character and they block it for free, this guy still goes up to 3000. So this is a pretty cool, versatile card that is also a raid target. Let's talk about the color trigger. Choose one of your opponent's front lines and switch it to rested. It will remain rested. The next time it will be switched to active. Really strong ability. So yes, this is your 4 staples of the deck, your 4 color staples as notes. Next off, we have Quincy Volstern Ditch. This is your 4 final staples. Just get 2 APs and set them to active. Nothing much to say about that. Next off, we have the Fear. This is your 4 staple finals of the deck. However, this one has a pretty unique ability. Choose up to 1 character on your opponent's front line and rest it. That's pretty much it. However, if you have it as not on your field, it goes to rested and it will remain rested until the next time it will become active. Same thing as the color ability here. Now, and you also draw a card, which is good. But basically, this ability is not strong on its own. But the trigger is good. The trigger is basic. You go ahead and KO someone on the front line. But a lot of times you see, special cards. It's always, remove a character, KO a character. This one, you rest them. And yeah, you get to draw a card, but you have to continue up by using your effects. So once again, it's just another extra little step that you have to do, which is a little interesting. But next card, we're going to move on to 4 costs, right? This is Quillier Opiate. This is a 4 cost. However, it's 2 actions. This is one of your key cards of the deck. Everything here is going to be like your win conditions, right? So this is one of your win conditions. So if there are 1 or more wrestling characters on their field, you play this active. So this works really well if you use your Bambietta to go ahead and rest somebody. If you use your Opiate Quigley, which is himself, however, a weaker version. So you go ahead and, rest this to get this guy out, ready to go. Or you use the Fear, the Jail, which is another resting card. So those are the only ways, well, there's one more card here, but those cards are the only ways for you to rest cards. He becomes active so he can attack that turn with 4000. Then when attacking, choose 1 resting character, it will remain rested. So this is, if you can able to get like 2 or 3 on the board, you're almost guaranteed to like really destroy the opponent, because you're going to be able to attack every single turn and they're just going to become rested. However, you have to choose a resting character already, so it's really tough to do. You have to have a lot of situational combos. But yeah, it's a really good card if you can get it to pull off. And the trigger is add this card to your hand, which is awesome. That's a really good trigger for one of your late game cards. Next off, we have our Raid As Note 4 cost. So it has Innate Impact, which is an amazing ability. Innate Impact is so good in this game. Then activate if on the front line once per turn. Choose up to 1 character with 3000 or less BP and switch it to resting. Oh my god, this is one of the best abilities in this particular deck. Impact, frontline once per turn, meaning you don't have to rest it, you don't have to pay an extra AP, you just activate it. And your opponent usually isn't gonna have like 4000s or anything like that. They're gonna have like maybe a 3000 or less, and you can switch it to resting. And once it's resting, you can do stuff like throw this out, etc. So really cool card, and the trigger is raid or grab if you need to. And then your final card of the deck, it's going to be these Bambiettas Bastardbind. This is your second raid target as mentioned. When played, if it is your turn, meaning you should probably not raid this unless you really need a body on your opponent's turn to block, etc. Because the ability is, if it's your turn, choose one resting character and sideline it. That's right, this is a when played KO. However, you have to make sure an opponent is rested, which is one of the problems of this deck. But yeah, the raid, the trigger is raid or grab. So that's the deck. And let's go ahead and talk about what I think about this deck. I liked it when I built it, but then the more I used it, the more I was like, God dang it. You just need the right cards at the right time to combo. It's very powerful in theory, like if you can get everything to work, but you just have to have the correct ratio of resting cards with resting effects. And there's a lot of other decks in this game that just remove stuff, because like that one Bambietta card is a removal card, but you have to have a resting, which means you have to have that character resting on the board. You have to use another card in your hand, which means you have to use another action point, and action points are super valuable. You only have 3 and you need them to flood the board, etc. That's another reason why we're running only a 4, up to a 4 cost here. And it just allows you to flood the board as much as possible. Yes, as mentioned, there are other sort of cards in Bleach and Hunter x Hunter, and we test a lot of Japanese decks too, playing Yu Yu Hakusho, Dr. Stone, etc. We found that basically anything that costs 2 actions to just remove, there's a better version that uses 1 action to remove. And sure, that might require some more setup in the past, like for example the Bleach purple deck, right? That deck is amazing because the Ichigo and Renji one, because all you have to do is set up beforehand, throwing stuff in your trash, and every card you do does it anyway. So when you finally get to play that card, you don't need any other combos. This one is combos at the correct time. The purple deck is combos beforehand, but that one's like more sifting as well. I don't know. Like I'm gonna play it a little bit more. I think that with this one you just gotta get a little bit more lucky, but that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.